Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Apologies for those listening live. I am about 5 minutes late, but for the vast majority of you that are listening via the podcast recording, you don't really give a fuck. And on that note, it's probably wise to mention that these are recorded live. People may swear on them, usually me. But it is the Crypto Blast for myself and Cam from Institutional Fi. As usual, Cam will be giving us a rapid fire roundup of the latest pricing, flows, and market moving news in crypto markets. If you don't already, do follow Cam on the socials. I will actually add this to all the podcast bios. Also, his phenomenal Substack, Institutional Fi, which is all the movers and shakers, all what's going on in the world of crypto, but from a more professional standpoint. So it's the more institutional take-ups, flows, etc., rather than meme coins and all that bollocks. But before we crack on, I'll get the legals out the way. Nothing discussed on the podcast is trading or investment advice, or infers any kind of endorsement by myself, Ryan, Cam, or indeed PIQ, or indeed Institutional Fi. But on that note, and now I've got all that out of the way, Cam, how are you, my dear friend?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, Ryan. How are you doing?
Well, as you know, I'm a bit flustered because I marched from the train station to my office on a Friday. Yeah. I'm looking forward to you telling me what's all good in the world with crypto. Again, we're still above 100,000.
Still above 100,000, and hopefully it'll give you some time to catch your breath.
Thank you.
Appreciate you running around and trying to make this happen. This is great. And I'm sure all the listeners, especially listening on the recording, would appreciate how much effort you go into to make these things happen.
As soon as I did that, I was like, why did I rush when it's like literally 99% of the people are doing it, are listening to this on recorded anyway?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, anyway, we do value those that listen live.
Yes,
I think that's what that says, you know. Yeah.
Exactly.
So jumping into the crypto market sector update. Bitcoin currently trading at $111,000.
Giddy up.
Very, very, very strong. At the time of recording, up 2.4% week to date. Zooming
you know
out.
What? Do you know what? I was very close to saying, and Bitcoin's above 110,000. But I thought, I can't remember the last time I checked the price this morning. So I thought I better not say that in case it's below 110.
And you would have been correct.
I should have gambled. Should
have taken it. Yeah, so up 2.4% week to date. Zooming out to the monthly view, down exactly 2.4% month to date. So, if you took a look, looking at the monthly chart and you have it on your screen in front of you, looking at a candlestick view, you'll be able to see that the top to bottom end of that candle wick is very wide, 17%, which on Monday, this kind of further credits our friends over at AP Research for the term Choptober, which has pretty much summed up this month's performance across the crypto sector in a nutshell. If we look over to Ethereum, ETH trades at $3,960, down less than 1% week to date, as interest in ETH digital asset treasuries and capital allocation start to move forward after 7 weeks of slowdowns. This was noted by Max Shannon, Senior Research Associate at Bitwise. An interesting graph that is shown over the 7 weeks. There have been no more ETH DATs formed, however, that's changed this week. Jumping over to the ETF flows on October 23rd, Ethereum spot ETF saw a total net outflow of $128 million, with none of the 9 ETFs recording net inflows. In contrast, Bitcoin spot ETFs had a total net inflow of $20 million, led by BlackRock's IBIT with $108 million in net inflows. Looking down the altcoin sector, BNB trading at $1,127, XRP at $2.44, and Solana coming in at $191, pretty much unchanged since Monday's recording of the Crypto Blast. Now to the news across the crypto sector. According to Bloomberg, the Canadian province of British Columbia plans to limit power use by AI data centers and permanently ban new crypto mining projects. The province's energy minister said it will prioritize grid access for mining and natural gas industries to create more local jobs and revenue. We also saw this same sort of themes banning crypto mining over in a couple of other countries last week. So it'd be interesting to see if this trend continues.
Question for you. Because obviously the hot topic at the moment is AI data centers, right? And, the huge power demands that they require, or the huge demands for power, should I say, that they have, to the extent where now, I don't know if it seems to be quite a shift of when we talk about AI data centers now, we only talk about them in terms of the energy costs to them. So we're talking about like a 9.5 gigawatt data center or whatever. It's all of this kind of stuff rather than like actual like size and number of chips. So I remember like a few months ago, we were actually talking about the number of chips in a data center, but now that doesn't seem to matter. One thing that a query that I've just been thrown up by what you've said there. That kind of puts miners and and AI data centers in direct competition for the energy, because there's only a finite amount of energy being produced in these states. So previously we've had like the likes of Texas being very, very accommodative to miners because they can have excesses of power on the ERCOT system. But then we've had a lot of AI data centers move into Texas for exactly that reason. So I do wonder if, there'll be a bit of an energy arms race between AI data centers and miners. And if you are a regional government, local government, or policymakers, who are you going to favor? Are you going to favor crypto miners, or are you going to favor AI data centers? My money would always be on AI data centers for now, at least. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I think you're exactly right on that. And this is what these policies are essentially changing to. They were or favourable to the crypto mining industry. However, it's swapping over to focusing on AI data centers. Now, a lot of these companies seem to be merging as well. Like you may have a Bitcoin miner that is also transforming into an AI data center.
Right, because they have a lot of the requirements for an AI data center. Right, you've got this is me that has no idea how to even turn my computer on, but I'm guessing it's just flip out a few chips.
I'm sure that's all that it is.
Tom Scars is going to love this one.
Yeah, I was on chat on Spaces last week, I believe it was, with Wolf Bitcoin, and they had a few guys who run a few of these mining firms and AI data centers, and they were basically saying, look, it's going down to how cheap can they get the energy, and how much can they spread that across the two different industries, and can they kind of marry the two different sectors together in order to benefit from that low cost energy. So yeah.
Sorry. So I was ordering a hot toddy. Sorry.
It makes the silence worth it then. And I'm slightly jealous. I'm slightly jealous. All right, so we'll move on. So Pantera-backed digital asset treasury firm Solana Company, which was formerly HSDT, has moved up the unlock date for its $500 million pipe round, allowing early investors to sell shares ahead of schedule. HSDT shares plunged over 60% from the 17th of this month, now trading at $6.97, above their September pipe issue price of $6.88. According to the Wall Street Journal, Coinbase Global has reached an agreement to acquire Echo for approximately $375 million. Echo is a platform that enables crypto companies to quickly raise capital directly on the blockchain. According to Bloomberg, major asset managers like BlackRock are encouraging large Bitcoin holders to move their coins into ETFs via in-kind transfers, bringing them into the Wall Street system. BlackRock's head of digital assets said that the firm has already facilitated over $3 billion in Bitcoin conversions to ETF shares, which is quite a figure. Quite a figure for people to just already have Bitcoin holdings and just go, let's transfer this.
It is huge. And as we said before previously, that's a huge number, however you dice it up. But like at Olympic, people demand, and the big tickets demand regulatory support and regulatory safeguards. So yes, it might, you could argue, the maxis might argue, well, hang on, this goes against the initial principles of Bitcoin, but you got two options. You either want mass adoption, or you want it to keep to the same principles, because unfortunately the two aren't compatible at the moment.
Yeah, regulation, tax benefits.
And I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, but what was seen as the kind of the 100% secure, the 100% kind of, what's the word, covert Bitcoin, kind of your Moneros and all that kind of stuff, they're all kind of falling by the wayside because there's just no demand for them. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, there's definitely less demand. Definitely less demand.
So there, on the back of that, we can gather that Cam's got a small bag of Monero.
I'll confirm that I've not touched that, actually. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. No need. So Tether announced that USDT has surpassed 500 million users, with total supply nearing $182 billion. The company plans to launch a new dollar-backed stablecoin, USAT, for those who have forgotten. This is going to be for US users by year end. Yeah, interesting, that story. And I'm wondering what the uptick in USAT is going to be. I honestly, that's probably going to be my watch for the end of the year. And how much revenue can this generate for Tether itself? Because there was rumours that they were seeking up to $20 billion in a funding round, with a $500 billion valuation would put them up in the top private companies globally. Federal Reserve Governor Chris Waller announced a proposal for a new type of limited access master account or skinny master account, allowing all legally eligible institutions, including fintech, stablecoin issuers, and payment companies, to access the Fed's payment system directly without relying on partner banks. Moving across to Asia, Asia's three major stock exchanges are tightening scrutiny of crypto asset treasury firms that seek to list under conventional corporate structures. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange has rejected at least 5 such applicants in recent months, citing rules that prohibit excessive holdings of liquid assets. And this was per sources. Regulators in India and Australia have imposed similar curbs, further undermining the viability of the digital asset treasury model. We also, I think was it Monday, we announced, talked about the...
Sorry, if anyone's wondering, my drinks turned up.
I was wondering, and now my mind is I don't have to wonder anymore.
Oh, it's lovely. So what were we talking about on Monday? Sorry.
So on Monday, we talked about it. I think it was some of the Bloomberg analysts. They put out a statement that said basically purchasers of DAT companies have basically lost $16 billion trying to gain exposure to Bitcoin.
Oof.
So yeah, it's an interesting concept, this DAT company, and obviously some countries are not in favor of the model. So anyway, moving on, Bells Incorporated, a 110-year-old US retail company, announced a partnership with digital payments platform Flexer to enable cryptocurrency payments across more than 160 stores nationwide. So with this integration, Bells becomes the first national retailer to accept digital assets from a dozen blockchains. What are they? Bitcoin, Ethereum, stablecoins, and this one perplexes me. Meme coins.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Why open yourself up to that risk? I just understand it.
This is
Make
it. I'm
make
sure.
sense, Cam. Make it make sense.
And obviously, this is not financial advice, but from a legal perspective and a compliance perspective, surely you wouldn't want, the arbitrage opportunities through meme coin pump and dumps to buying household products, because that's what they sell. They sell literally staples. Just buying a meme coin, trading it in for a staple product that you would buy at the store, and then return it to get a meme coin. There's so many different avenues of just risk that I'm surprised they want to take in 660 stores nationwide as well.
That's bonkers. I just think there's absolute needless risk there, in my opinion.
Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see how this develops,
exactly.
Whether it works favorably for the company or not. It'd be interesting. Definitely as a live experiment for everybody else watching anyway.
No, definitely.
Senior Bloomberg ETF analysts stated that there are currently 155 crypto ETP applications tracking 35 different digital assets, with the number expected to rise to over 200 over the next 12 months. According to data charts, ETP applications related to Solana, Bitcoin, and XRP each exceed 20, while Ethereum and basket ETPs exceed 10. Much smaller number. Crypto exchange Kraken reported $648 million in revenue for the third quarter of this year, up 114% year over year. The platform's total trading volume reached $561 billion, while assets held on the platform rose 89% to $59 billion. The number of funded accounts also grew to 46% to 5.2 million. In another major story, traditional asset manager Rowe Price, founded back over in 1937, has filed for an actively managed crypto ETF. So the firm, which oversees roughly $1.8 trillion in assets, only entered the ETF space back in 2020. This is making this filing is a significant milestone, marking its direct entry into the crypto sector. On the law side, a US class action lawsuit accused the Meteor Foundation, Benjamin Chow, of the Melania and Libra meme coin scams, saying that Melania Trump and Argentinian president were used as a promotional front rather than participants. Chow allegedly coordinated at least 15 pump and dump tokens with Kelsier Ventures and the Davis family. A judge has unfroze $57 million in USDC tied to the case. And then following this news, according to Arkham Intelligence, the blockchain investigating site, the top 5 recipients of the Meteor airdrop in the Trump team, 3 of the addresses involved with the Trump team just received $4.2 million in an airdrop of MET.
Nice.
Lovely. The developer addresses and 2 addresses that provided extensive liquidity for Trump on day one. All 3 addresses deposited the entirety of the airdrop to OKX. I wonder what that is to do.
Quite.
Yeah. Robinhood has listed Hype for spot trading, driven by the news development. The price of Hype rose to $2, representing an intraday gain of 10%. Fidelity Crypto has added Solana to its supported assets, expanding beyond Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. The update applies across the Fidelity digital asset platforms, including Fidelity's crypto for retail users, IRAs, wealth managers, and institutional trading. The White House has announced that the US President Donald Trump will hold a bilateral meeting with the Chinese president next Thursday during the APEC summit in South Korea. This will mark their first face-to-face meeting since Trump returned to the White House in January. And yesterday, this is a big news, yesterday saw President Trump give the Binance founder, CZ, a presidential pardon. What's surprising is that you'd expect the news of this caliber to trigger crypto traders to quickly rally behind BNB and send it to oblivion. But overall, when the news dropped, BNB could only rally less than 5% toward the upside in the hours following the announcement.
A rally for our ants?
Yeah, exactly.
One thing just to add on to this, I know we're kind of cutting it short, so we're cutting it fine with the time wise. But one thing I just want to note is Trump on the same day did announce an anonymous, easy for me to say, donor had basically backed $155 million kind of check in case they need to pay service members due to the government shutdown. And now I'm not a one for, coincidences and stuff like that, but the timing of that is quite astonishing.
Yeah, really interesting. Really interesting. Yeah. Like you said, probably won't add too much in terms of what could the potential context be behind that, but it does make you think.
Yes, exactly.
And lastly from me, JP Morgan plans to allow its institutional clients to use their holdings of Bitcoin and Ethereum as loan collateral by the end of this year. This global program will rely on third-party custodians to safeguard the pledged crypto tokens. This initiative represents an extension of JP Morgan's previous policy of accepting crypto ETPs as collateral. Just in case anybody had forgotten, but if you've been in the crypto space for a while, it's definitely going to be something that makes you chuckle. Jamie Dimon, the CEO,
yeah, right,
and now he's accepting it as collateral on loans. So there we go.
Yeah, exactly. That it will always make me smile, but we'll see what happens. Cam, thank you so much for, as always. We keep promising we'll kind of get our act together and make sure these are far more regular. I think we now need to do that now they're publishing that on the podcast. And also we have said that we're going to do far more on the crypto front, which I think we need to pull our finger out and get that done. So listeners, leave that to me and Cam. We'll sort all of that out. Stuff is going on in the background. Don't worry about that. And we'll get far more content to you very soon, hopefully. But listeners, whatever you're doing, hope you've had a great week. Keep it tight, stay safe, have a phenomenal weekend. Call your mum, call your dad, call your nan, call your granddad, call whoever it is. Put a smile on their face over the weekend, and we'll see you all on Monday. Much love.
See you then.